Ready? Okay, well, obviously I'm really excited for our guys again. I tell you what, man, it's been 3 years we've played Hawaii, and every one of the games seems like it ends like that. It always comes down to the wire. They're a good football team. They're tough and physical. I think both teams were going through dealing with a bunch of injuries, and both teams fought really hard down to the end. So really proud of the fact that at different times throughout the game, we were able to rely on all three phases. There were times where special teams, made a big mistake. There were times when we made a big play. There were times where defense kept us in it in that first half, playing really, really well. The offense had to find themselves. Offense extended the lead, and then defense struggled kind of down the stretch a little bit. But, it was one of the first times that I can remember that we were able to really rely on all three phases at different points throughout the game to come up with big plays and win. And, winning 2 in a row, getting ourselves right back into the hunt. Again, we can't look past the next game. We're going to play a talented BYU football team that's struggling right now, but they've got a lot of talent on that team, and they're a team that's used to winning. And the worst thing is when you get a talented team that's not playing real well and their backs against the corner, they can be real dangerous. So we got to do a really good job of having a great week of preparation and going out there and continuing to fight. But proud of my guys because a couple weeks ago it was tough sledding. Played some really good football, played some good first halves, and as you build a program, one of the most important things is seeing the consistency in the fight. And there's no better example of that consistency in the fight as Johnny Stanton right there. And so watching our guys come out and continue to fight, continue to compete down the stretch. There hasn't been a first half the entire season where they haven't come out and looked prepared. Hasn't been a first half they haven't gone out and we talked about finishing, and we got we've been challenged about it, and in a lot of different ways, and we've learned to finish, and that's a big thing. It's again, when you're sitting in a program that's had 2 winning seasons in 20 years, one of the biggest things, one of the biggest hurdles to go over is that culture. When things look like they may be in jeopardy, how do you feel about that? Are you trying not to lose, or are you trying to win the game? And I felt like our guys played with great energy the entire course of the game and made some big plays. And Johnny had a heck of a game. We went with we knew Armani was healthy, and we wanted to give him an opportunity. And I thought he did some really good things. We kind of struggled when we got in the red zone a little bit, but Johnny came out in the second half and had a hot hand and got us going right away. Hit Presley on a big one and got the lead back. And again, just happy for our guys, and it's good to win another one in a row.
You mentioned finishing with you, Tony and Johnny, when you had that nearly 7-minute drive to take the 2-possession lead. Can you just talk about how critical that was?
Well, it was huge. There's 2 things you're looking at. It's too early to do a 4-minute offense. 2 minutes to do a 4-minute offense. But it's also important to make sure that you get yourself in scoring position and try to take as much of that clock away as you possibly can. So that was a big drive. Executed some good third downs, kept the chain moving. I don't know what the time was when we got the ball, but it seemed like we chewed up a good amount, like 4 or 5 minutes on that drive. So that was really important to get a 2-score lead and also to chew up the clock.
The onside kick's something you thought about before the game?
Yeah, so here's my philosophy on onside kicks. I don't know why people around the country don't do it. A lot of times they line up on the 50, they kick the ball in the end zone. To me, it's a wasted play because if you don't get it, they get the ball at the 35. So if my gamble is a chance for a possession or giving the ball at the 35, I'm going to take that risk 100% of the time. And that's why we didn't do a trick one. We lined up in our onside kick formation, and if you don't get it, what happens? They got the ball at the 35, 34, something like that, and it's just like a halfway decent return. So to me, the risk and reward, you look at that, I'll take that risk for that reward.
Wouldn't play a factor at all because that was they would be going against the wind.
On the onside kick? That wasn't necessarily part of it. Where the wind got us was in the first half. We had a tough situation right before half because so you got Pantel's doing the extra points, but is not healthy enough to kick field goals because our field goal, because Gutierrez has a pulled quad. So his distance is about the 18-yard line. So you're sitting there at the end and you're going, okay, we're kicking in. It's out of his distance. Pantel's doesn't have the leg to do it. So right before the half, you're saying, okay, throw the ball into the end zone. We don't get it. No big deal. They get the ball at 25. Well, it turned into 3 points for them. So that was not the design of that.
I would like to get both of you guys' perspective on this, but Johnny, I want to get yours first. It seemed like over the course of the game, your confidence was able to build, knowing that you started the season being a backup. How does this game motivate you going forward?
I think it motivates me just as much as any other win does. Obviously, I think tonight was a great win. But whether it was me, whether it was Armani, I'd be just as happy either way.
And I'll tell you what, that's what I'm so proud about. The way they handled it throughout the course of the week, and the team really cares about each other, and I think that's really, really important. Those guys rooted for each other. When Armani went in, he's coaching them up. When he comes back out, Armani's coaching them up. They're helping each other out. And, there's just a bunch of guys that just want to win football games together. So I'm really proud of the way they handled it. And, again, there's no better definition of courage than this guy right here and the way he came into the air, not being the guy and stayed positive. And, again, we all know the story. He blocked a punt, played defense. Now he's back. So Mr. Utility.
Coach, back-to-back wins have been elusive for this program, even before you took the job.
Yeah.
To get it, what's that mean?
Well, it's the thing that's big too is the time of year it is. You know, there's been a long time, in the last 3 years where it's been hard for us down the stretch. We just depleted, a little banged up, have an injury, and we just look really bad. I mean, we play the game tonight without Bailey Lowelangi at starting Will linebacker. Khalili's not playing at corner. You've got there was one other. Who else is out? Who? Yeah, there you go. So I forgot. I'm so tired. But, we got 3 defensive starters out. Austrey's out, And you know what? The next guy goes in and makes plays. We're kind of at a point now where we're not worried about it. Our guys are going to go fight. They're going to execute. They're going to play hard. And we've got more guys that are doing that. So there's no more, oh, woe is me when it looks like, we're a little thin. Next guy's excited to go in.
Rogers went in for the second quarter. Did you guys make a decision at halftime to go back to Johnny for good, or did his play sort of dictate that he would stay in the rest of the way?
His play in the second half dictated that. So the plan going in was we'll get Armani in third series or beginning of the second quarter. And the way it played out, we got him in. I thought it was important to get Armani going again. We did not want him coming in and not playing at all in this game. And again, he did some really good things. Unfortunately, had some drop balls. There's a couple third downs where he puts the ball right in the money. We get a drop slant. Otherwise, we may score on that drive. So he did some really good things. But then coming out in half, we wanted Johnny to go it again. And his ability to go down there, and he made some plays. He had a hot hand. He was feeling it, and we just felt like it gave us the best chance.
Thoughts going forward, hot hand, or?
I think about that tomorrow. No,
And
but Johnny did a great job. So again, we'll look at it, and these guys know, and they're all selfless, and they wouldn't expect anything else. Go in there, prepare, let's do it together, let's figure this thing out together. And if it's Johnny playing the whole game, then Johnny will play the whole game. If it's Armani and him getting opportunities, to share back and forth, and that helps the team, then that's what they're willing to do. That's not even me saying it. That's these guys.
Johnny, after White took the lead, and then he came right back and scored. Just how critical was that to answer that?
Absolutely was. And I think it was the best part of it was how much it energized our offense. Every single guy on the sideline, especially the offense, were just so pumped up after that. We appreciated the confidence that the coaches had in us, especially with that onside kick, because when we got that ball back, it was we knew we were going to score on that drive.
And Johnny, Presley, Keys, and Woods all have 4 receptions apiece. Can you talk about the importance of spreading the ball around and making sure everybody's involved in the offense?
To be honest, I don't even think about that in the game. I love every single one of our receivers because I think we have the best receivers in the conference. And if I could get them each a touchdown every game, I would. But it's really just based on the play, based on the defense, and by that point, it doesn't even matter because I have complete confidence in every one of them. So whether it's Devontae at the X or Brandon at the X or Kendall at the Y or something like that, it doesn't really matter.
Tony, it looked like they really made an effort. Why made an effort to stop Lexington? He still had decent numbers, but it looked like that was their game.
Overall, when I look at the stat sheet, we didn't have a bunch of yards rushing, but it looks like Lexington had 100 yards. So, and I think that puts him well over 1,000 on the year, which is a big, big mark. He came in 35 yards short. So, again, it's not about stats, but I'm proud of him because he's done a really good job of, getting through the year. But they did. When you look at the game plan they had, it literally was load the box, play cover one, one high, and you had to win in space, with our wideouts. And that's why you saw a lot of those slant passes and, attacking them over the middle. And, if you break a tackle like Presley did, then you're gone. There's just nobody behind him. So that was what they planned to do, is eliminate our run game. And I don't think they did a pretty good job of slowing us down. Let me tell you, there was a lot of conversation going on over the headsets. I actually broke my headsets and had to replace them. Again, you got to be multifaceted and have the ability to throw the ball down the field, and that's what those guys did.
Johnny, on Hawaii's final play, it seemed like it took forever as he was running around. You're standing on the sideline, watching that. What's going through your mind as you're watching that?
That I don't want to go to overtime. Yeah, even if we did, we would have gone and scored another touchdown, I'm sure. But I was real happy that our defense was able to make that stop.
Tony, after the Utah State game, you said you guys were going to have to score to win games. You couldn't count on giving up, less than 30 points. Does your mindset change after the last 2 performances?
Well, I think it pissed the defense off. That's part of our jobs too, is to push everybody's button. Push coaches' buttons, push kids' buttons, and let me tell you, heck, it's my job to have my buttons pushed too. And I think that hair on the back of our neck raised up, and we bowed up, and there's a lot of people feeling accountable and a little pressure, and sometimes pressure makes you fresher.
Coach, you equaled last year's win total.
Yep. Not enough. We want more. You know, I mean, we've done a good job of competing. Haven't done a great job of finishing throughout the course of the year. Our expectation is not to. I mean, we want to be better than we were last year, but we want to be a lot better. And unfortunately, we put ourselves in a tough situation early on in the season. You know, but it's a young football team, and it's a team still figuring it out. But you know, I mean, there was a point where you're going to run to the hills or you're going to dig in and fight. And that's the thing that makes me so proud is everybody, coaches, kids, they just dug in. And that's the most important thing if we're going to get this thing rolling is having a group of men that believe in one another. Not just men and women, everybody in the building from our trainers to our strength staff to our players, our ministers. Everyone is just willing to just dig in together and continue to fight. And I see a real fighting spirit in our guys right now. And, you know, we're going to have to really show it next week and in the weeks on out. But I'll tell you what, it'd be easier for me in a really bad situation right now. And we're not. We're not where we want to be. We wish we had a couple more on the board and felt a little bit better about it. Celebrating a bowl game instead of a pineapple. But it is what it is, and we just got to keep fighting.
Coach, with the offense stalling in the second quarter, what was your message going into the half to get them going?
We're up one. We've been here before. Win the second half, you win the game. That's literally what I said. You know, I mean, we're fine. You know what? Defense did some good things. We knew we could move the ball. We stalled out at times. But, you know, again, you got to go out. We got to execute. They went out. They scored. Cut it to one. Our guys go down. They score right away. And, you know, our guys are figuring out that, you know what, you've got to play 4 quarters of football. And if you do that and you know, ball bounces away a little time, you make a couple plays, you're going to walk away with some wins. College football is tough. I mean, you look at it across the board. I mean, it's hard to win football games. Every single week you're scratching your head after watching some of these games, you know, and we've been in plenty of them this year, so it's good to come out on top.
After last week, it would have been maybe a little easy to have a letdown here this week. But you guys came out that first drive of the game, went right down the field, scored a touchdown. What did you say to the guys to keep them motivated during the week?
You know, the biggest message during the week was, you know, does winning make you satisfied or does it make you more hungry? And that's one of the biggest things. We can't be satisfied. I mean, you enjoy it tonight, you know, and that's great. But tomorrow, you got to wake up and say, what can I do to get ourselves better? You know, what can we do? What can we do as coaches, as players? And then you have to have that right attitude. And, you know, and that's the biggest thing is not. We're kind of getting to a point now where it's not necessarily the coaches holding the kids accountable. It's the players holding themselves accountable. And when you start to see them kind of call each other out and you know, in a good way and you know, about being on time and being ready to go and tucking your shirt in and, you know, standing behind the line in sprints and doing all those things, you know that they get it.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks very much.